And I wanted to ask you, what are some of the most, I'm completely changing topic here. What are some of the most beautiful places where you've practiced yoga? Whether it's
Uh,
in a different country or on a beach or in a mountain or on top of a fridge or on a balcony in a next to a tiger in a jungle. I don't know. You tell me.
Definitely not. I'm not a fan of cold places, so definitely not anywhere near the fridge. Um, um, I took, I think it was a few months out to travel around China pre-COVID, before everything was, very restricted. And I went to a province called Anhui, Anhui province. And there's a mountain called Huangshan, which is, I think the translation of the characters would mean Yellow Mountain. And so I kind of, uh, I didn't plan it actually. I just took a train and stayed at a hostel overnight and said to the people at the reception, "What's there to do around here?" And they said, "Oh, there's a mountain just there, and it's like I think one of seven or maybe nine really popular mountains." And so I think there's a saying in Chinese that if you've climbed this mountain or you've gone up this mountain, then it's the same as going to all the seven mountains in China. So I was like, oh, not bad for my first mountain in China. And so they said to me, you need to take a tent because you can go up there and stay the night there. So I was just like, okay, well, where do I get one? And they provided me with all the camping gear and said, you want to take some food up there because there's you won't find anywhere to get food up there. So pack your own food and here's your tent and your sleeping bag. And it took me almost I started right at the very base. So I could have taken the cable cars and, taken the nice easy way, but I wanted to do the whole journey. So I walked right from the very base of it, and there were coaches driving past me to take people to the cable car spot, and so I walked and took these very steep. The incline was really steep. Um, and so, yeah, I walked and climbed up these stairs for 7 hours and got just to the top just to watch the sun go down. And I was smashed. I was absolutely exhausted. Um, and I think that process alone, I felt like, yo, that was my Kailash in China. Um,
While
and
you're telling this, I actually, instead of Kailash, I had another image in my mind. I was thinking of Smeagol and the two hobbits climbing the steps into Mordor. Come,
yeah,
hobbitses.
yeah, it was challenging. And so by the time I got there, the sun was just setting, and I managed to take a few beautiful photos. And then I was kind of setting up my tent, and there was a lot of people in this area. And so I was like, now, I want to do some of my sadhana. Maybe I can, find a remote spot. And so it wasn't very dark, but it was starting to get dark. So I set my tent up and left my things there. I felt it was quite safe to leave my things there. So, and then kind of ventured out into like some quiet area to do my practices. And I don't know, I think doing your practices is special, but then when you're at like a high altitude or at a very high place, I think it's a very different experience. The wind feels different, the air feels different, and then when you come out of your practices, there's just an absolutely magical feeling of when I opened my eyes, I was already very high, almost like above the clouds, and it just felt magical, celestial, like I was in a celestial realm, because I could see uncountable number of stars. Um, it was just a feeling of, yeah, it was that was the for me, one of the most special places that I've practiced. Aside from obviously the practices at the Adiyogi Alayam, that's always a treat for me. And at the ashram in Coimbatore. But outside of Isha and the ashram, it has to be on the top of Huangshan Mountain for me. That's been very magical experience for me. Yeah, just being able to do it in such a different place where the air felt different, the scene felt very different, and just very connected to nature. I think that has been. I mean, there's strange places. I think I listened to your previous podcast, and obviously there's always that when you want to do your practices at the airport, and you're in the back of your mind, you're thinking, what happens if security, kind of just gives you the stare down and starts to call more security and say, what's this guy doing? Or, people start gathering or listening. And, there's always places like busy places like the airport that kind of make me a bit weary of doing the practices. But, obviously that also checks your level of commitment as well, as you said as you spoke about in the previous podcast. So, but for me, specifically, I think doing it above sea level, anywhere higher, way high up in the mountains is very special.
Approximately what altitude was that? Do you remember? Because it's only beyond the 1,500 meters of elevation, right? Above 4,500 feet that you start having trouble with certain yoga practices in terms of the breathing.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was that. I wouldn't say it was as high as I'm not entirely sure. I mean, I'll have to check up on how high I was. But I remember the ascent was going up by the 100 meters, and then climbing up every so often there's a marker that says you're now 200 meters, 300 meters, or whatnot, and then it starts to jump, and then you don't know whether it's the air or the fatigue that's making you feel like, oh God, I need to sit down and take a breath, or I'm not entirely sure how high that was, but yeah, I was definitely in eye shot of seeing clouds below me, so it was quite high
We'll
up.
find out and put the exact number right below this video or in the video itself. Namaste and welcome to this channel. If you enjoyed this video, please take a second to hit that like button right here. Thank you. If you want to see more from the same interview, please click here. And if you're ready to watch the entire interview, click here. Ready to subscribe to this channel? Wonderful. The subscribe button is waiting for you right here.